Fisher kicking hard in the centre of the lane. But Fisher seemed to come out of the turn like a train there.
Gone to the final, ranked second, and to win it, just so cool to see all sweat, blood, tears totally pay off. You're not seeing any of the people, but when they stand for the national anthem, there's 17,000 seats all flicking up at one time. But that's probably my favourite sound of the last couple of years.
On the streets of Wellington, New Zealand, Mary Fisher walks with a new confidence. In pursuing her Paralympic dream, she'd pushed herself well out of her comfort zone.
I think the biggest change that's happened is that I've gotten more confident in my abilities, not just sporting or anything like that, but just in the practical and social aspects of life, that it's okay to be blind, have a disability. Hi, number 3? Yeah, great.
Mary is completely blind, the result of a genetic disorder.
The eye condition that caused my vision loss is called aniridia. So pretty much that just means no iris, and so the blue or brown or green, hazel, whatever other colours they come in, part of my eye just didn't develop. The loss of an iris pretty much just means that there's nothing blocking out sunlight. Growing up, I had about 10% of normal vision. I could not do some of the things which the other kids could, like walk on a beam I found really difficult, or I had no depth perception, so I couldn't see like stairs or if the ground was wet where the puddles were. But I could read print when it was large, and I could, see colours and shapes which were close to me. And then I guess when I was 15, I just kind of gradually lost the rest of my sight. Now I can see kind of light and dark.
As her sight deteriorated, her swimming career took off.
I've been swimming for about 4 years with the Upper Hutt Swim Club, and I went to some race nights and I was always the slowest person, kind of, and like just with the club, and then I just started swimming with all Wellington kind of meets, I thought that I should get faster, I guess, and all my friends were getting faster. I'd like to be one of the best people there, and I just practice hard to get there.
Just 6 years after she began, she took to the pool in her first major event, the London 2012 Paralympic Games. Leading into the Games, Mary was a rank outsider. Selected because she showed promise, she was a surprise performer. As she powers down the final length, she has everyone on their feet.
Wow, world record, gold medal.
Crazy, I don't know what to say. The final went to plan as much as it could have, I'm just really, really happy with the swim.
So expectations coming in, is this exceeded expectations? Where do you sit?
Absolutely exceeded my expectations. I came to pretty much experience the Paralympic atmosphere and do my best, and I'm just really, really happy that my best has got me into finals. And I've never ever heard a crowd before when I've been swimming, and I could hear it all the way through a 400. It was crazy.
Gold medalist representing New Zealand, Mary Fisher.
I never really thought of myself, before London as someone that would come away with 4 medals, the world record, and I really want to keep swimming and to stay in that place and improve and advance. I guess my swimming career is going to be tricky but exciting.
It's a new year and a new campaign. The upcoming World Champs in Canada are a chance to prove that her performance in London wasn't a fluke. And to add to the pressure there, she has a new coach.
Remember what we talked about in relation to streamlining? Okay, so those push-offs are really important. Make sure that turn's spot on as well. Okay, especially the streamlining out of it. Okay, don't snatch the breaststroke either. 2, 1, go. We certainly need to be looking at 10, 11 sessions a week, and we certainly need to be looking at those at being 2-hour sessions. So there is a lot of work to be done.
Mary swims in the totally blind classification S11. Each swimmer has blacked out goggles in case some have light perception. Vision impaired swimmers rely on a tapper to warn them that the end of the pool is a body length away.
When I feel the tap, I know it's about a stroke and a half. That on the next arm stroke, usually I'll be turning. Sometimes swimming for me is a contact sport because the tap is either distracted or they just miss for some reason and you don't feel the tap. And yeah, there's been a couple of chipped teeth and a few sore heads in my experience. But all in all, it's a pretty good system.
So we've come in there at about 3:30. Okay, so I want you to hold on to that pace. All right, just be very mindful of the backstroke. We're not switching off. All right, lengthen those arms. A nice leg kick. All right, got 5 seconds. Well, obviously swimming is very, very visual. And we're obviously on the back foot there straight away. And it's our understanding that we're wanting distance per stroke. I'm finding at the moment that both breaststroke and certainly the freestyle, that we're only actually pulling half the amount of water we could be doing. First one is that we've got to really be mindful of that whenever we're doing the stroke, we're getting plenty of distance. What we're tending to do currently is we're tending to swim at this point here. All right? Now that's quite nice for strengthening. All right? What you've got to do is once you've entered the waters, you've got to extend it through to that position there. So you're actually pulling more water from here to here as opposed to that bit, you're only pulling that much. And then the breaststroke, we're tending to swim at that point there, whereas we need to be coming through here. So we're pulling the same amount of water each time. I'd like you there, which again is nice and long, okay? And then through and in, all right? 2, 1, go.
Lucky to live in New Zealand. You know, so many countries, if you're blind or if you're a woman or, you know, so many things can not allow you to do this.
Mary's reviewed her own life plan and is looking at her career after swimming.
I'm quite interested in doing speech-language therapy just because the way that I navigate life is through language, and I think it would be something very cool to be able to have a positive impact on someone.
A top student, she's realised the reality is she cannot study full-time like her peers.
Everyone does talk about sacrifice for your sport. For me, it's the not feeling like academically equal to my peers, I guess.
just the whole kind of socialising and being a regular young person in New Zealand, a lot of those things just go out the window.
At the end of 2011, I wanted to go flatting because I'd been travelling into Wellington City from Upper Hutt. You know, it was a 6-hour round trip pretty much every day to train. That is a little bit tedious and just seemed like something that could be changed. This is all kind of open. So some of the, the previous flatmates were a bit worried about, oh, what's going to happen with the stairs? But so I just pretty much stick to this side and, take care. There's 20 stairs, so I just remember 2, 13 and 5. So there's 7 of us in the flat and 4 upstairs here. We've got Hannah, Louisa, and then our token guy Cam, and I'm at the back. So it works well. Got a sweet view. So the most difficult things about flatting for me we're all a group of young people, I guess 20 to 29 years old, and we have quite thin walls and just, I guess, the noise. Sometimes I'll have to get up in the morning or have to pack. Also, just the whole logistics of having 8 people's stuff in one house can be a bit tricky, but in saying that, it's been great. Everyone has kind of taken on board living with a person who's blind or vision impaired, and so, yeah, we've got quite a fun thing going on and just following some of those, "Hi Mary, it's Louisa in the lounge." It's just kind of totally over the top, but it's just good fun. Cool.
Do you know where the baking powder is?
Yep, it's just in one of my drawers. So we've all got lots of drawers in. Okay. So this is the one we use more so. I'm guessing this is baking powder. Baking powder? Soda?
Yeah, that's right.
Powder, cool. What I try and tell people is I definitely don't have like supersonic hearing. I can't hear really high like a bat or anything. But I think I just have to, I have to pay attention to the little details that are going on around me. And I think it's just being more observant of your world in different ways than everyone else. Okay, so keep that open and then just getting it in without burning yourself is a lot of practice. And I do remember a time at home where I was trying to pick something up and I kind of like let the tea towel trail and the bottom caught fire. But it didn't, come to anything. It was a good learning experience.
The New Zealand National Swim Champs is an integrated event with both Olympic and Paralympic athletes. It's a chance to see how Mary is tracking towards Canada.
Must make sure stroke rate's good. Must make sure that we've got length in those arms. All right, watch this drifting. We must be pulling the same amount of water from both arms.
No ping pong.
No ping pongs.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. All right.
The kind of half hour before a major race for me is just trying to find kind of me time and thinking about 1 or 2 things that I'm going to concentrate on during the race, and hopefully that sinks in somewhere.
He's not even swearing at the moment.
I think the things that make me nervous is, will all the work I've put in beforehand pay off? Can I really push myself to the absolute limit, and just wanting to forego any of your fears of letting yourself down or your coach or your family?
has few competitors in New Zealand. Mostly she's racing the clock. Mary has just smashed the world record by 2 seconds.
You know, it's very exciting to have that WR next to your name. To hold that top on the world spot is something, you know, I only ever dreamed of, and it's really exciting to see it'll come to fruition and hopefully continue. When you're training full-time and everything, you can get a bit like flat maybe, so just to have a couple of things outside of training for me has really helped. Music for me is something where people can communicate, or if I'm playing I can, you know, do it for myself or for others, and yeah, there doesn't have to be one meaning behind it. You can interpret it a lot of different ways.
Release at the bottom, but keep your core switched on. Fire.
Training is ramping up. The Worlds in Canada are just around the corner.
Just to there.
The team around Mary is honing in on the improvements she needs to make to defend her world record.
Knee right up. There you go. Swimmers, they train exceptional amount. So you've got people that are training twice a day in some cases for 5 days a week, and then they might do one session on a Saturday. So you've got a huge amount of swimming, and although you're doing quite a specific movement, you still need to strengthen up that movement, and that's, I suppose, we come in. So down nice and slow, release, keep that core turned on, through the heels, bang, good. I try not to be too specific in terms of her alignment. What I do see is if she's squatting, she may favour her left or right leg. I'm constantly telling her
What it looks like.
What it looks like, you're tilting. Nice, Mary, so just trying to build that kayak so you're going through the water nice and strong.
Maybe it's not having the visual cues, just it gives you more of like a central feeling, rather than if you're really dominant or a bit wobbly in your core, then for me it's probably not swimming as straight as I should, which means I'm swimming further, which takes longer.
Key here, chest out, don't arch the back too much.
Like that?
Yep, and squeeze it right up so that this leg is parallel with your stomach. Cool.
When I go to Canada, racing against the top people, maybe some of them will be looking at me, but I just need to know that I've done everything I possibly could to swim as fast as I can. So this is a Perkins bracelet, and it's pretty ancient, but it's very durable. Just made a list for Montreal. So I've got, you know, uniform, passport, laptop, protein powder, Canadian notes. So this is some Canadian notes. And I guess just sorting through them before we go away. So when I'm in New Zealand, I just fold any notes that I have. Once if it's a $10, twice if it's a $5, or just keep them flat if it's a $20. But we've just found that on one of the corners there's a little, I guess it's a little bit like a braille cell, so there's 6 dots, and I've just gone through them with someone that can see, and so they've told me this is a 5. This is a good system by the Canadian government. And this one has 2, which means it's a 10. and this one has 3, so it's a 20. And so these are my New Zealand shirts, which we'll be wearing in Canada. And just because we all have the same kind of stuff, it can get a bit tricky with knowing whose is whose. So my mum's just chucked a couple of pom-poms on the label, and this one's a white one because it just has like one set, and all the black stuff. This is a singlet, but it has one on each end. To keep up the top in the world, you have to want it enough. You just kind of go in with the attitude of doing your best and not worrying about what anyone else is going to do.
La compétition débutera dans moins de 25 minutes, donc restez les nôtres à 5 heures la première épreuve.
The World Champs is the biggest para-swimming event outside the Paralympics. There'll be 500 athletes from 60 countries vying for the medals.
Move over, Mary. Move over. So listen, first one there was 19s, came home on 22, Susan 25s. All right, back end's too slow. Okay, ready? 2, 1, up! So the main thing for me really has been over the last couple of days is just to emphasise that we need to be swimming in a straight line. We need to be confident that we're pulling the same amount of water off both arms, and really being confident that we're going to hit the wall nice and square and push off it square and then carry on, you know, down that same line.
Even before the races begin, athletes try to get the psychological edge over each other.
At a competition, there's a lot of macho guys like doing their whole slappy, flappy things and just generally, you know, trying to psych everyone else out at marshalling or in warm-up. So I guess I'm pretty lucky I don't see any of that stuff. And then also, when some people say, oh, look so far down the pool, and I'm like, oh, no, doesn't matter, the hill's not there, I can't see it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the pool deck the competitors for the finals of event number 20.
This is Mary's first final, 100 metres backstroke. For this event in London, Mary took home bronze.
Mesdames et messieurs, voici maintenant où vont leur entrer les finalistes de l'épreuve numéro 20 de 100 mètres d'eau chez les dames.
For Paralympic champion in the 200 medley, Mary Fisher from New Zealand. What can Mary Fisher do? Goes 100 backstroke. Really difficult to navigate yourself around the pool here, especially if you get caught on the lane ropes. Again, a lot of pressure on the tappers there. Big long tapping stick for Daniela Schulte. And Fisher probably got the better turn there. Came out strongly. It's Daniela Schulte coming back strongly here. Mary Fisher just with the edge, but there's not much in it at all. And Mary Fisher now coming in for New Zealand. Can it be a gold medal for New Zealand here? Schulte trying very hard to get back on terms. All on the touch there. And Fisher gets it, 120.31, just by 0.3 of a second.
The first 50 felt great, and the second 50, I should have got my turn a little bit tighter, and I could just feel Daniela just coming at me on the last 5 metres because we were right by the same lane rope. Really exciting, such a close finish.
At a competition, the hustle and bustle of the pool and everyone like whistling on the breaststrokers, and it's just can be a pretty draining environment. So I find that really useful just to have a bit of a rest between sessions and having a bit of quiet time. When I lie down, I would just, you know, think about the couple of good things that happened this morning and then think of a couple of things I really want to work on tonight.
Relay number 4 representing the New Zealand, Mary Fisher.
Mary is competing in 5 events over 7 days.
Well, it's a clean start and fastest away Martinez, 71/100ths of a second, but into the lead Mary Fisher of New Zealand.
She's 2.5 seconds ahead. But there's no doubt about who's going to win this gold medal. Mary Fisher, the swimmer from New Zealand. You can't see the rest here as she comes in outside the world record.
I didn't breathe for the last probably about 9 strokes, and thought the wall was going to be a little bit closer than it was, but made it in the end, so that's what counts.
But Mary Fisher just veering over to the right now. She's going to take it. Mary Fisher, she was strong.
She brings home 4 golds, 1 silver and 2 Oceania records.
Looking forward, I guess, the motivation is to try and stay at the top and to kind of better myself as a person and hopefully bring some younger kids into the sport, because it's done a whole lot for me in a positive way.
Ladies and gentlemen, your World Championship medalist,